tariffs by what you and I pay. And the question there is, and the decision to participate in a market, whether physical or financial, is based on many considerations for a distribution company. Many of them are administrative and others are regulatory. So they are not really participating as market entities, right? I think that's very critical and important to understand. The second aspect is all these distribution companies have a mandate for resource adequacy, which means that for the next 10 years, we need to ensure that they sign long-term contracts to partly because of regulators. Actually, a lot of commercial and industrial consumers, even commercial consumers in some states, are paying within plus or minus 20% of the actual average cost of supply. And this is based on our analysis, which shows that the amount of cross subsidy that is going from these consumers to domestic and agriculture is coming down. Point number two, there is so much happening with agricultural solarization and also aligning agricultural demand with supply hours, so that the cost of supply itself, that it costs to supply to agricultural consumers, is going down. So the actual requirement of cross subsidy for agricultural consumers is also coming down drastically in these years. The second aspect is, if you look at solar and other renewable technologies, the gestation periods are very low. The investment requirements are much lesser than, let's say, a 250 megawatt coal plant. Right, so for consumers, it is much easier to set up these systems. It's much faster. It can happen within 1 or 2 years. Responding to demand changes, etc., is much faster, and then investment can happen through the market itself. And third is, even currently, some of the other panelists have also mentioned, though we need strengthening of regulatory systems. That's something that we've been trying to do for years and years. The fact of the matter is that many important things are being stuck in litigation. Regulatory oversight and the challenges with it also restricts consumers as well as distribution companies. I mean, in so many states, DISCOMs have petitioned for better time of day tariffs. Regulators have postponed it. I mean, this is a very important change for the sector, for consumers and for DISCOMs alike. It looks at cost-reflective tariffs.
Next to the point that Amit was saying, right? Yeah. The regulator doesn't have the vision to basically...
No, but this is the reality of the sector. I'm sure we can try and overhaul it, but currently it's not happening. There are critical decisions, which take 5 years being stuck in APTEL, and then suddenly, consumers are, told they have to pay, 1.5 rupees extra in their tariffs. And that's a tariff shock for a decision that was taken, or a court order that came 5-7 years ago, along with interest costs and carrying costs. So I think this kind of uncertainty also means that for a lot of consumers, it's important to sort of unshackle from regulators. It's important to move away from regulation, and I think the sector is ready because investments are much easier, where we can try and deregulate the sector, at least for high tension consumers. The network is also pretty mature. So can we think about a system maybe 5 years from now where these consumers actually get all their power requirement from the market? Right? So that the DISCOMs don't have the obligation to procure for these consumers. These consumers bear the risk and the reward of the market. That's something we can.
Will this necessarily pull more volumes into the market? I mean, how does some of this...
I think you should have a vote on that. I think clearly DISCOM seems to be the one entity that many larger consumers are dealing with on a regular basis, and from whatever investors we have spoken to, they're happy with moving away and going to the market because they're seeing a lot of these uncertainties also playing out. So
okay, so let's go to one such Chintan, to you. I mean, I understand, of course, as a RE player,